Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. One of the interesting aspects of discussions about the economy or income inequality inside the Beltway, as opposed to back home in the real world, is the very different tone that we hear. The idea that anybody could suggest that we are not seeing massive increases in income and wealth inequality is beyond my comprehension. If you go outside of the Beltway, there is no debate about that. The idea that anyone could suggest that today the economy for the middle class is anywhere near where it used to be is beyond comprehension, I think, to the vast majority of the American people. The reality that we're seeing today is that the middle class in this country is disappearing. Median family income is going down. We have more people living in poverty today than any time in the history of the United States of America. And as Secretary Reich pointed out, between 2009 and 2012, 95% of all new income generated in this country went to the top 1%. And in terms of wealth, the situation is even worse. Maybe some of the panelists might want to defend the situation where the top 1% in America owns more wealth than the bottom, that the top 1% owns 38% of the wealth in this country, and the bottom 60% owns 2.3% of the wealth. Does anybody on that panel, and I will ask that question in a moment, think that that makes moral sense or economic sense? Does anybody think it makes moral or economic sense that one family, the Walton family, owns more wealth than the bottom 40% of the American people? Now, in terms of government action, we have heard that the stimulus package presumably had no impact. Well, that wasn't true in my state, nor was it true in America. By investing in our economy, in our kids, in infrastructure, according to the CBO, the Recovery Act, the stimulus bill, created or sustained up to 3.6 million jobs, a 4.2% boost for GDP in the first quarter of 2010, and a reduction in the unemployment rate of up to 2.1% in the last quarter of 2009, at a time we needed the jobs the most. Last point that I want to make, and I want to ask a question on this one. The Walton family is the wealthiest family in America. Does anybody on the panel think that they need significant welfare help? And yet it turns out that they are the largest recipient of welfare in America. Because when you pay workers starvation wages, which is what Walmart does, how do the workers at Walmart or McDonald's or Burger King survive? Well, they get Medicaid for their kids and for themselves. They get food stamps. They live in government-sponsored affordable housing. So I start off with my question to Dr. Winship, and we'll go down the line. Do you think the Walton family, worth $100 billion, is in need of welfare from the middle class of this country? Or do you think maybe we should raise the minimum wage so that those workers can earn a living wage and not have to get Medicaid or food stamps? Dr. Winship?
Thank you, Senator. So let me start with your earlier question about defending the wealth distribution that we have. So
well, actually, my question was on the Walton family. Do you think they need welfare?
So I would not use the word welfare. I think it's stigmatizing.
You think their workers in large numbers should have to get Medicaid or food stamps?
What I think is that Walmart has the low prices, which...
Please answer my question.
So I'm sorry, repeat the question for me.
The question is, do you think the wealthiest family in this country, the Walton family, should have employees, large numbers of employees, who depend upon government help, Medicaid, food stamps, affordable housing, in order to get by, or should they pay their workers a living wage, and should we raise the minimum wage to make sure that they do that?
I think that we should not raise the wage above levels that's going to cause Walmart to not hire their workers. The only way that they're able to have the prices which benefit low-income people more than people up on the income distribution is by paying wages that are not as high as you or I might like.
So I'm hearing your question to be that the middle class of this country, through increased taxes, should be subsidizing the wealthiest family in this country who are paying inadequate wages. Secretary Reich, what's your take on that?
Senator, do not think that taxpayers in this country ought to be subsidizing the wealthiest family in this country, or any company and any corporation that is paying its workers so little that those workers, in order to have a decent living, have got to rely on food stamps, Medicaid, subsidized housing, and so on. That is corporate welfare of the worst kind. But more broadly, let me simply say that Walmart is the largest employer in the United States. It is paying its workers, if you include its part-time workers, on average $8.80 an hour. Now compare that to 1955, when the largest employer in the United States was General Motors, and it was paying its workers, in today's dollars, $37 an hour.
That's a huge point. I want to. I don't have much time.
No, yeah.
Dr. Kearney and Dr. Mather, if they could answer the question, should the taxpayers of this country be subsidizing?
30 seconds each.
Well, 30 seconds is fine.
Yeah.
So I don't think we should be subsidizing Walmart, but I think workers have a choice about where they want to work. If they're choosing to work at Walmart, that is their choice, and we should not decide for them whether it's a good choice. The program subsidizes workers. These are poverty programs that benefits go directly to workers. So if you think that they're creating jobs and people are able to work and earn enough benefits to survive, I think it's a good thing.
Dr. Kearney?
When Walmart came to Washington, D.C., the number of job applicants per job, there were more than dozens of people willing to take each job. I think Walmart is a brilliant innovation, and I have no beef with the Walton family. It would be great if people could move up the wage distribution faster at Walmart and aspire to management positions and better positions for themselves and their children.
Okay, thank you. Next, Mr. Campbell.